Now that you've logged onto your profile, we're going to look at how you can update your rates so that you can show weekly and short break options. So what you want to do is go to seasons on the left and make sure that you've set up multiple seasons if you have pricing options that change throughout the year. Once you've set up your seasons, we're going to look at how you can set up your short break and long stay, like weekly rate options. So if you can go to rate cards on the left of the screen, in rate cards you can add multiple rate cards. In this demonstration we're just going to add two. We're going to edit the original standard rate that's there, and we're going to make this the weekly option. You'll now notice there's a button that says nights, and this is where you can specify how many nights the rate is applicable for. So in this case we'll make it applicable for 7 days. You can also restrict what day a customer can check in and out in the screen. Right, so once you've made your changes, you just update that rate card. We're now also going to add a short break option. So what you want to do is click Add Rate Card, and you can give it an appropriate name. In this case we'll call it Short Break. And again we're going to change the number of nights, this time to 4 nights. What you will notice is as soon as we put how many nights it's applicable for, the minimum stay options below that disappear. And we'll click Add Rate Card. Right, so now moving on from here, but before we do that actually, on the right of each rate card you'll see there's a default button. It's important to select a default, as this will show on the tourism site what your default rate is. And when we get to that part later, I will just highlight that for you. Now we have to input some rates. So if you go to room rates on the left, you'll notice, so you've got your property type there. In this instance we've got a house. So and we're going to put a unit price for each rate option. So my house can accommodate up to 6 people, so the number of guests I'll put is 6. I'll then put a rate for standard, high and events. Now the standard rate is a weekly option of £700, and the short break option we'll put £550. So we'll reflect these rates across into high season. And then for events, we may not want to show a short break option during the events period, so we'll only input a price for the weekly rate. We're now going to have a look at what a potential customer sees when they view your profile. So down below on the grid where we used to have the daily rate, you can now see a short break or a weekly option, and we've joined the cells here and we're actually showing the full price. We've also made some changes to the layout of the booking system so that we can now introduce a shopping basket. So you'll see as I select to stay in the house for a week, it adds in the shopping basket just to the right of the booking button that option that I've just added. And you'll notice if I select a further option, it now says that I've booked for 2 weeks at £1,400. And I can actually skip to the next page and still carry on adding more options to this booking. So for any customer that wants to book multiple nights on the grid, they can very easily do that. The customer also now has the option to clear out their shopping basket, and you'll see as I click clear all selections there, it empties the basket and we can just start again. So the shopping basket is quite handy because it allows customers to book multiple nights in one go. And on the next page where the customer would see a summary of their booking, you'll see it shows the total cost of the stay and all the usual details as it did before. And again, the customer can clear their selections from that page and start again. When a customer visits the Isle of Man tourism website, they'll be able to use the search facility at the top of the page. On the search box, they'll be able to input their required date, the number of people that they wish to accommodate, the area of choice, and what type of property they want to stay in. They can even select the star ratings that property needs to have. We've also now added some advanced options, where customers will be able to select additional options in order to better define their search. Once they populate a search on the search grid, it will show the various properties, and those properties that have a weekly or short break rate will display the full price. Now, early on I mentioned that there's a default rate that has to be selected, and this is where your default rate will show. The customer also has the option to have a look at all the properties on a map, and it's a Google map that will display the particular area that the customer is searching for with all the properties in that area. Alternatively, the default search will be the list view, which shows all of the properties in a list with their pricing for the next 14 days. When a customer then selects their particular option, it will show that property's profile, and as demonstrated earlier, we've got our property, the house, that was set up with a weekly price as well as a short break option. The customer can then add their accommodation options into the shopping basket, and they can then process their booking. So the booking process is exactly the same for the customer. We've just improved on the way that the customer sees your rates, whether you use a short break option, a daily option, or a weekly option. So let's do a search now on the Isle of Man tourism site, and we'll take away some of the filters that I've put on here so that we can view various properties in the search list. So now we can see a full list of properties, and there's Western Waterside, which shows a short break option of £550 over 4 nights.